observation. He has been running a little bit beyond the edge of the track on a few occasions, but it's massively spectacular to watch. And the 212 car, game on, it says on the front of the car. I'd absolutely agree with that. They are not out of this fight just yet. The Uvio car is staying right with them, but he's keeping them at arm's length. It's not a distraction, it's not slowing him down, and he is continuing to pump in the fastest laps he possibly can.
I've noticed as well, above the game over on the front of the car anyway, it says, "I'm coming for you," across the front. However, I will say they've not done what the ambulances do in flipping it, so it will be totally backwards for anyone actually looking in their rearview mirror, but it looks great on stream if nonetheless, guys.
169 with a dry stop. They are third place, remember, and likely will stay third, I would imagine, unless Uvio can put in a demon final stint here to try and close down what was, I think, a 20-odd second deficit at one point. Out goes the Rob Boston racing car. Through comes Ted Bradbury. We're not yet at the end of the pit window. I don't anticipate this car coming in until he absolutely has to. Jamie tells me that Vlad Vasiliev is getting ready in the pit lane to get in. And what pressure will be on Vlad Vasiliev's shoulders here. Wherever this car comes out, it will either be just in front or just behind the GRD car, and it's going to be down to Vlad Vasiliev to ensure it's in front of GRD at the end of the 3 hours.
And it's the 169 Rob Boston with rare vinyl that's just come out of the pit lane ahead of these two as well. So the third place car is now just ahead of these two, which just shows quite how much time is between them. Of course, the Rob Boston car with rare vinyl has now done that extra stop, which has dropped them further back. But even sort of 10-20 minutes ago when we were watching Ted heading on round, I noticed he was sort of coming up through McLean's as the Rob Boston rare vinyl car was only just starting a new lap. So huge chasm between the top two and third and then beyond in this one. But we keep our eyes peeled. We wait with bated breath as to when Ted peels in the pits, and when Vlad peels back out, where is the GRD car?
Well, that 169 car, there are worse cars to have in front of you if you're Ted. That's a quick car he can slipstream with. On the previous lap, John, he was 2 seconds quicker than Riley Phillips. That has to be that damage to the front splitter for Riley's car. I've not spotted whether he's in traffic or not. I'll try and keep an eye out of the window. But Ted Bradbury is taking chunks of time out of GRD. There is every chance. He's 34.6 seconds ahead of GRD with a pit stop to serve. We don't anticipate they'll need fuel. There will be a driver change, but can they get that done without losing the lead? That is going to be nail-bitingly close.
Indeed it is. Look at that time from Uvio Hoffmans. They've just jumped into the 20.9s, a 20.966 for Uvio Hoffmans. Again, just proving how much they lost not being in a tow and not having a front splitter. And who's in that situation right now? It's number one. Team number one GRD find themselves in exactly that predicament.
Bradbury did a 20.9 though last time as well. He's knocking on the door of his own lap record, waiting for Riley Phillips to get through. This is maybe going to cost Ted a little bit of time, just negotiating the 169 car, but he will charge around the outside into McLean, sweep through. Does he? Yes, no, maybe. Yes, gets the job done on corner exit. Oh my word, 3.1 seconds quicker than Riley Phillips on the previous lap, and Riley is drafting with Greenheath, so even with a slipstream, Riley just can't live with this pace. Now, okay, Riley should be able to go a bit quicker than Vlad Vasiliev, but at this rate, he's going to be quite a long way behind.
I mean, we knew there'd be extra pace from Ted, but that's just ridiculous. Yeah. Over 3 seconds on, as we've said so many times, not a particularly long racing lap. This is Donington Park National, so amazing this is from Ted. We can see, though, it's ticked below, 20 minutes left to go. Surely the pit window close board is out. No, we can still see the red sign, which, as I told you all earlier, means that they can see the green side, so they're good to carry on round.
So 2 more laps. He's got 2 more laps in the car, right? He'll get the board this time. He can do another lap beyond that. So 2 more laps for Ted Bradbury. That means he's going to pit with 17 minutes to go. Vlad will go out with 16.5 minutes to go, something like that. And I think he's going to have a lead over the chasing car. Is that... who's that getting ready down in the pit lane? Can't see in that light. I don't think it's Vlad, but someone who's very excited to get out on track. I suspect Vlad's mood will be a little bit more stressful right now than whoever that individual was, because he knows he's going to have a real job on his hands here to keep hold of the lead. It was 0.6 gained that time by Ted, because, of course, he was busy battling with the 169 car, but now hopefully he can get his head down and keep on pushing on.
I thought it might have been George Grant for the Clapham North team, and he is getting in next, so it might be
make sense.
It might be him. But anyway, he's certainly limbering up, ready to go, isn't he? And I think Vlad will be doing something similar. Like you say, maybe a little bit less flamboyant in it, though. He might be a little bit more locked in the helmet, thinking, right, I've got a serious job to do right now.
Yes, chewing his fingernails, I suspect, at the moment is Vlad Vasiliev, and that's putting it mildly, especially if he's watching these pictures, because now fabulous Randaccio is becoming rather a menace to Ted Bradbury, because he's within slipstreaming range and he's forcing the leader to defend into some of the braking zones. That's slowing Ted down. 22.5 that time by, which was only about 3/10 quicker than Riley Phillips did last time by. He's defending again into Redgate. So actually, these last 2 laps of the stint, Ted is now not taking quite as much time out of the GRD car as he'd like to be. He will pit this time, but it looked like he might lose more time before that point.
He's really getting ushered along here, isn't he, by the UVO car? My goodness, I mean, these two are on incredible pace right now. Now, the interesting thing as well will be the fact of, like you say, they've seen the close board. Now they have to come in at the end of this lap. But UVO are going to be coming in at the same time as the Vape Club car, as they still put pressure on up into the top part of the circuit. Through McLean's they go. But Vape Club and UVO Hoffmans will be coming out at the same sort of time, you would have thought as well.
Yeah,
so
true.
Will that be an assistance to Vape Club in terms of gaining slipstream, or will that hamper them in terms of getting into a battle? We'll have to wait and see. It could go either way.
I forget who was in the UVO car earlier, but there was a stint, wasn't there, where Vlad was overtaken by UVO for the lead and he stuck with them. I think it was Farkini, wasn't it?
But that was when they had splitter damage.
It was when they had splitter damage, admittedly, but I still think Vlad should be able to stay in the slipstream at least for a bit. Even a couple of laps could prove to make all the difference. Here it goes, my word! 169 didn't realise they were coming into the pit lane. That nearly ended in catastrophe. So, the key moment of the race. At the end of the previous lap, Vape Club were 38 seconds ahead of GRD. I don't think this will take anything like 38 seconds. There's no fuel. Bradbury's out of the car. They're plugging Vlad in. It's not the swiftest pit stop in the world, but I don't see this taking 38 seconds. It is taking a bit longer than it should. The doors are shut. Off they go. Where is Team GRD's Riley Phillips? Is he coming out onto the pit straight? Will Vape Club have a race lead? Well, there's no sign of GRD yet. Who was that at the top of the hill? UVO have got out in front of them, but we need to see where the GRD car is coming out onto the pit straight. It's still not there, I don't think. So, yes, it is. It's behind Greenheath. They're right behind Greenheath, just going out of shot now. That is the advantage that Vlad Vasiliev has. That is, to my eye, something like 5 seconds or so, with 16 minutes to go. Grandstand finished. Did someone want? I think you're going to get exactly what you wished for.
Here we go then, and as you said, UVO out ahead of the 2-1-2. Now, as we said, this is crucial for Vlad to get in the slipstream here and stay, as you say, at least for a couple of laps to try and use it as best he can. If he drops out of the slipstream here on this first lap, he might just be a bit of a sitting duck, because as we said, Greenheath and GRD still working together fantastically well. None of that would have been planned. They have lucked into that track position very, very nicely. As we say, the crucial fact here is, can the 2-1-2 remain in the slipstream? We'll find out in the next lap or two as to how maybe this next 15 minutes is going to play out.
Well, so far so good, I'd say. They're going to gain a few car lengths down the straight. That will put them even closer onto the main straight. He doesn't need to overtake the UVO car. And it now essentially becomes a case of whether UVO are quick enough to keep them 5 seconds or so ahead of GRD. There in the background is the Greenheath car. I couldn't even see Riley Phillips because he was so close behind Greenheath coming past the pits. We will now get our first proper read on what the gap is. Through goes Vape Club, 112 laps completed. Through now go GRD, 4.5 seconds the advantage. 15 minutes just under to go. I mean, we couldn't script it any better. I think Riley Phillips is going to be quicker than Vlad Vasiliev, but is he quick enough to get there in time? Who knows?
Indeed, this is going to be nail-biting stuff. What an exciting end to this 3-hour endurance race. Now, another factor to play in as well, of course, we've spoken about mechanical sympathy throughout the race. There's potential, of course, we've already spoken about the Vape Club car, loves hitting the curbs. You never know, something might go wrong late on. But also the fact of number 1 has sat behind the number 14 for so long now, and I don't mean just sit behind like they are doing right now, right on the bumper as they go down the straight. That means basically no airflow is going into the radiator, and those temps start rising and rising and rising. It's not crazy hot today, but it is decently warm. You might see, if those temps start to properly rise, that Riley might have to pull out of the slipstream just to get a bit of cool air through the engine and through the whole system.
And you might be thinking, well, why doesn't he just overtake the Greenheath car? But you'll notice they've ripped that splitter off completely on the GRD car, more or less. I don't think he'd be quick enough without the slipstream. He's got to stay behind the Greenheath car. So both of our potential winning teams are completely reliant on the pace of the car directly ahead of them, cars that are themselves battling for position, because Greenheath are trying to catch Uvio for 4th position, and they're pretty close in the championship, those two cars. What a bizarre scenario. I can't ever recall the conclusion of a race quite like this. Having said that, Riley makes a liar out of me. He dives to the inside of Greenheath. Maybe he feels he can go quicker. He needs to, because on the previous lap, he only matched Vlad Vasiliev. He needs to be taking time out of him, and this, John, will not be helping.
This is exactly what I said, what I was going to say was going to happen. If he pulls out from the slipstream and makes a move, all they're going to do is start swapping down every single straight, and if they can do that calmly and concisely, it might work in gaining a bit of extra pace. But again, you've got to hope that Greenheath agree, yes, I will work with you perfectly here. Now, they actually have a horse in the race as well, as you say. They're trying to catch Uvio, so maybe there will be a bit of a truce between these two and working together. But they have to hope that the two cars ahead aren't quite on the same pace as them. And as you say, for the moment, they're pretty much dead set between these two pairs. Let's keep our eye on this. 12.5 minutes still left to go, and well, Riley's clearly pushing. A bit of dust kicked up there on the apex of the corner as they now head down Starkey Straight once again.
The race is going to be decided based on whether Greenheath are quicker than Uvio, the 5th place car chasing the 4th place car. It's remarkable how these things work out, because I think Riley will have learnt there that getting past Greenheath isn't going to do him any good at all. I suspect they've probably lost time on this lap, one would imagine. And look, Vlad is staying with Farkini in the Uvio car. Yes, 4.9. It went out by 4/10 that time. Vlad is doing everything he needs to do, and Riley is just ushering the Greenheath car on, willing it to find an extra few tenths of a second per lap, but it just isn't happening.
I would be so interested to hear the comms communication between the pits and the 212, and then the pits and the number one right now. I can imagine the comms to the 212 will be a lot calmer right now. You're doing great, Vlad. This is perfect. Keep sitting behind. Your pace is great. In terms of the number one, it'll be a case of do what you can, Riley, because he seemingly tried everything at the moment and nothing's quite working. Like you say, it might just be that GRD's hopes at winning this race rely on the pace of Greenheath, which is just, where else would you have that? Where else would you see this? This is just the most amazing race as we close in towards 10 minutes of 3 hours left to go.
And of course, Farkini's got good reason to try and keep Vlad in the lead, because he doesn't want GRD to win, because they're the championship leaders. And Farkini is exactly the kind of driver who would think like that, I think. He's got a very wise head on those shoulders. He hides it very well, but he does read a race extremely well. They're very tactically minded, those two. Look at the decision they made to swap cars after the season opener, for example. He and Fabulous will be properly switched on to the fact that they don't want GRD to win this race. Okay, Fate Club could well become championship contenders by the end of the season as well, but GRD are the more imminent threat. Here they come, meanwhile, back to the inside of Greenheath. Now, on the previous lap, they gained about 3/10 of a second on the leader. They've got past Greenheath. They've kept in front of Greenheath this time, but do they now have the same pace in front?
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised by that decision there from for the number one to go back through, because as you say, the lap that they did try and go through, they lost loads of time. The lap that they sat behind, they gained time in the two ahead. Yeah. So your thought would be just sit behind and see what happens. But I guess then you're in that fact of you have no control as to how this race is going to play out. Absolutely zero. You're just waiting to see what happens. I guess Riley's thought is, let's just go for it, grab it. I'm just going to get in front and see what I can do out front here, because the worst thing that can happen is I stay in second, kind of thought. So, yeah, let's see how this one plays out then. We do have less than 10 minutes now left to go on the clock, and as you said, this will be the crucial lap now. We've had pretty much the entire lap where the number one is ahead of the number 14. If they still gain time here, the race is still on.
Especially because I think Vlad is slipping away from Farkini slightly. We need to see the leaders in a moment, or the leader in a moment. It was actually 6/10 that Riley gained on the previous lap, not 3, so it was a big gain. This is a big call by Riley to get ahead of Greenheath, but in fairness, he didn't look like being challenged by Greenheath down the straight, so maybe he has got a bit more pace. Let's see, it is a 22.8 for the leader, a 23.0 for Riley, 2/10 slower. There was an overtake in that, I suppose. That could account for 2 or 3 tenths or so. This is the lap, isn't it, that's key, but Vlad is definitely falling away from Farkini. If he loses the toe, could be a game changer.
Yeah, but even then, I still think there's been more to gain being the one sat in behind
here
for Riley. So, yeah, I don't know. There really needs to be crystal clear communication here between driver and pit wall. And I will say, it's one of the circuits that's most difficult to get reliable communication traffic through. Often we would have it, you could only chat on the main straight. As soon as you went out of turn 1, you couldn't hear anything. So there might just have to be sudden shouting between pit wall and driver as they come down the main straight and onto a new lap, which in and of itself is challenging because as a driver, especially in Riley Phillips' position right now, you are 200% focused on the job you're having to do. If someone's then shouting in your ear, it can really start to throw you off, at least for me anyway. I mean, Riley is off on the grass. I can't believe it. I was just about to say he's got this one all sorted out. He's off on the grass, kicks up the dust and dirt. Still, even with that bit of time lost, Greenheath haven't got back through, but oh my goodness, Riley, you're keeping us on our toes for sure.
But if ever you wanted to know how hard he was pushing, there's your answer. And of course, the lack of front splitter. He'll be understeering over that hill. Greenheath are in from 5th position. Well spotted. Greenheath straight away are in. Were they maybe nursing a little bit of a problem of some sort? Or are they a bit low on fuel? We did say you might need an extra splash to get home. I haven't really been following their fuel strategy, I'll be honest. Maybe they forgot to do that, or they've just miscalculated slightly. We'll have to wait and see. But that means there is no one to work with now for Riley Phillips, whether he wants it or not. And Vlad has definitely lost the toe to the Uvio car. The gap, though, John, remains at 5 seconds.
Yep, 100%. Toe is gone for the 2-1-2, isn't it? This is outright pace now. As you say, even if the GRD wanted someone there to use the slipstream, they can't anymore. The Greenheath car peels into pit lane. Actually, sadly for them, as it looks like maybe it was
Clutch.
We saw? Clutch. Yeah, I think you're exactly right there. They might head back out on circuit, but this is going to be a lot of time lost. And what would have been a victory in the Masters once again for Greenheath. What a shame. It seems to have gone away from them here in the dying moments. But just less than 7 minutes left to go then. And it is a straight fight in terms of pace here between Vlad Vasiliev and Riley Phillips. But of course, Riley still nursing that damage. And actually, it seems like cars are closing up to Riley.
I don't know who that is. I was going to try and figure that out in a moment. Out go Greenheath.
It looked like the 109 to me, but we'll have a look. We'll have a look.
Well, of course. Well, that is going to be interesting if it is the FNS car. Let's see. It's so close behind. We can't quite see. No,
it's the 171. It's the Berries.
Oh, it is.
The 171.
Oh, Vape Club are in. Vape Club are in. They've got a penalty whilst we were following the GRD car. The leader is in to serve a penalty. This has to be track limit. Surely there's no other reason I can think of. Disaster for Vape Club. Vlad Vasiliev with a stop-go penalty at the end of the pit lane, and that hands it to GRD. It looked as though Vape Club had done everything they needed to do. They snuck into the pit lane when everything else was kicking off around them, and that hands it on a plate to the reigning champions.
Oh, from a neutral's perspective, what a shame. Ugh. What a shame. We were just crescendoing to an incredible end of the race. I was thinking there, we've got Ian down on the cameras at T1. I was thinking, what is he off daydreaming? Why is he looking in the pits? And suddenly the leader's in. I can't believe it. Well, with 5 minutes left to go, we'll see what the gap is as they come round to start another lap of the race, but it's going to be quite the chasm, I think, and we'll stay as we are then. This is the number 1 now getting overtaken, of course. The Berries car coming back through. But the number 1, I think, probably would have seen there that the Vape Club car came in. Of course, there'll be some comms at least down the front straight now as they head on to another lap. In terms of, right, just chill now, Riley, please. Yes. As much as you can, Mr. Riley Phillips. Relax in that car. Keep hitting your markers and bring this one home. 5 minutes to go. 5 minutes to go. We have a lead change. Is it the last lead change of the race? You'd have to say it should be, really. But Riley is still in a bit of trouble here. He's surrounded by quicker cars because his car is damaged. And
all of that understeer. It would be so easy, wouldn't it, to understeer wide, pick up a couple of track limits penalties himself. He's got to be careful here, and again, I think he could do worse than just letting these two go. It's the 252 car, which is the Rob Boston Racing car of Will Blackwell Chambers behind, and of course, as we've said, the Oddberry's number 171, there is another car gaining as well on them. That's C Data. So 252 then pull out of the slipstream, pull up alongside the race leader, and after their many dramas, they are well down the order. 252. They're actually battling the Oddberries for position, but there are 6 laps between them, so define battle. They do just so happen to have found each other on track though, and they are 18th and 19th respectively in the running order. Riley then settles in behind, as is all he needs to do. He's 24.5 seconds clear now. Vape Club, who themselves are 14.5 ahead of the 169 Rob Boston Racing car, which has been putting some good lap times in, but I don't think we'll have time to catch Vlad Vasiliev. And it just looks like another one of those races that has fallen into place for Team GRD.
It really does. It really does. What another epic showing from your championship leaders, and it's these kind of performances that are why they are multiple race winners, multiple champions here in the Fun Cup Endurance Championship. You've got to be in it to win it, haven't you? You don't know what will happen around you. You can play your strategy to perfection, but something goes wrong. I was going to say out of your control. A penalty for track limits is in your control, but these things stack up, as we say, and one little mistake and suddenly the whole race changes, as we've seen here in the dying moments of round number 6 here at Donington Park. Thank you so much for joining us here for rounds 5 and 6 of the Fun Cup Endurance Championship. Both of them absolute belters for very different reasons here at Donington Park, I must say, but I think I'm definitely in the camp of voting yes for it continuing on as a 1 and a 3 here at Donny rather than a single 4. The single 4 very exciting in and of itself, but that 1 hour here at Donny was something else.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. I mean, both races have kept us guessing, haven't they, really? It's been a fantastic day. Donington, we said at the start of the day, it always delivers good racing. One-make racing in particular, in the Fun Cup, of course, is a one-make endurance championship. It is, as they brand themselves, the most popular one-make endurance championship in the world, and you can see why. And if you want to get involved, you can do an awful lot worse than getting in touch with Christian Rose, who runs the championship these days, and getting yourself on the grid. You could be a part of this. No matter your experience level, we have absolute novices come and do Fun Cup, and we have people who finished on the podium at Le Mans come and give it a go, and they all leave saying it's some of the most fun they've ever had. Renault Racing there with fuel going in, so I think there are a few teams that have miscalculated the fuel slightly. Interestingly, just before 212 came in to serve the penalty, Jamie was telling me that they had a churn of fuel ready, so they must be right on the cusp of getting to the end on fuel. That's another little question mark just hovering over the final part of this race. There was a race infamously, probably 10 years or more ago now, in which Guy Wenham was on course for a maiden Fun Cup victory here at Donington Park. He was in the lead by nearly a lap with a lap to go. He never made it home. He ran out of fuel on the back straight. It is one of those circuits where fuel calculations can catch people out.
It very much is, and we are closing in to the part of the race, so we will find that out if any teams have gone wrong on the strategy, but I would expect they've all done a stellar job. Only a couple of teams falling by the wayside late on there. Of course, we saw the 97 of Renault Racing in the pits late. Shame for the Renhams, but we continue on then. And this is Riley Phillips behind the wheel then of GID. Andy's scared himself in the comms box. Here comes the number 1 round the final corner, and on to what will be the final lap of the race, if I'm not mistaken. What a race it's been.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
There's half of me that's glad to see the checkered flag. There's another half of me that wishes we could carry on into the night, because I've been having so much fun, but I'm also exhausted, quite frankly. It's been one of those days where you've just had to keep your eye on so many different things. The racing has been top quality. And through it all, GRD just seem to find a way, don't they, to get to the front. They've got no front splitter. They haven't led, actually, that many laps in either race today, and yet it looks as though they're going to come away with a solid podium finish in race 1. What were they, second, I think, in race 1, and a race victory in race number 2. Another win to add to their tally for 2026. It's been a brilliant start to the season for GRD. They won the first 2 races of the season at Alton Park and Snetterton. They had a win last time out at Anglesey in the second race. They were on the podium earlier on today in second, and now on course for another race victory here on the Donington Park National Circuit. They come out of Coppice Corner for the 121st time and make their way now down towards the final chicane for the final time of asking, and for GRD, a race win beckons. My word, they've had to fight for this one. It might not have been the on-track battle for the victory that we were sort of hoping for in the closing stages, but they've had so much thrown at them over the last half hour or so. It's a deserving race victory for Team GRD here at Donington Park, and they're going to win by 25 seconds or more, I think, come the end of the race. And that is going to be a very significant winning margin, much more significant really than it should have been. Simon Rudd and Chris Devell embracing with the team on the pit wall. They're delighted. GCI Racing come home in 5th position, by the way. Solid points scored for the former champions. And here comes Vlad Vasiliev in the 212 Vape Club with EDF car. He and Ted Bradbury have to settle for the second step of the podium here at Donington Park. After a battling drive, they so nearly had it, and we assume a track limits penalty at the end of the race there took them out of contention. And Rob Boston Racing get themselves on the podium in 3rd position. The 169 car shared by Rob Croydon and Tom Roach. Tom Roach's welcome return to the podium. I don't think they've had a podium yet this year, so it'll be the first podium Tom Roach has had for maybe over 10 years in the Fun Cup Endurance Championship, back in the days when he was racing the 125 car to a race victory, I seem to recall, back in about 2015 or so. Anyway, brilliant day of racing, John. I'm sure you'll agree. The stragglers coming home. So many storylines. Uvio here coming through in 4th place, for example. They'll be disappointed, I'm sure, not to have made the podium, but at least they've scored some decent points. Just not enough, really, with GRD continuing to win races. Exactly that. Yeah, they were just unstoppable today, weren't they, GRD? And, of course, lucked into a bit of an easier take of the lead than maybe we would have seen. But, yeah, wow, still a great race. And I've got to say as well, fair play to Greenheath. Despite those issues, they stayed on the Masters podium. 8th place overall and 3rd on the podium. And that, of course, gives the FNS Morpheus team a Masters win. So they've done a great job in today's race as well. And the Demon Tweaks 249 joining that podium as well. But yeah, great day of racing here across all of the championships. But yeah, a 1 and a 3. I'm a big fan of that here at Donington Park. Could I suggest a 1, 3 and then a 1? That would be interesting. Now there's an idea. A night race. The last race, a night race. Yeah. That started at 10 o'clock. Why not? We've nothing else to do tonight. GRT with a race. We could do it tomorrow night, couldn't we? No one's going to be doing anything else tomorrow night, are they? There's a football match on, but I don't think anyone cares. GRT the winners by 28 seconds over Vape Club, with Rob Boston Racing with Rare Vinyl completing the podium. Uvio Hoffman's Motorsport in 4th ahead of GCI Racing. Then it was FNS with Morpheus Motorsport. Demon Tweaks, Greenheath, Clapham North and Seed Data to complete the top 10. Northern Velocity 11th, then it was Demon Tweaks' second number car, the 207, ahead of Leicestershire, and Renom Racing, solid finish there in 14th place. 15th position at the flag was the PLR Uvio car, bit of an under-the-radar day for them, but of course not their usual driver lineup. I'm sure we'll have them back out next time out. JPR for Hire's 248 car was next, ahead of Anglo-Asian Mining. Rob Boston Racing's 252. The 171 car, which isn't the name it says on there, is it? It is Oddberry's Racing, fueled by data, with Signature RV in 20th. G-Force 21st, Red River Sport 22nd, Sunoco 23rd, 24th for Team Viking, and Ursus Capital Racing, 25th for Tropical Rocket Racing, and Axiometrics in 26th. And last, they were one of 6 cars not running at the end of that race. It was a race of attrition in the end, as we sort of anticipated that it might be. Well, a brilliant day of racing for the Fun Cup. They will be reconvening for their next round at Brands Hatch on the 15th of August. I don't think I'm there for that one. Then they head to Silverstone in September, and it all finishes on the 17th of October with another 1 hour, 3 hour double header at the spiritual home of the championship at Alton Park. Right, let's head down into the pit lane then and get all of the post-race reaction from Jamie Peters-Ennis.
Thanks, Andy. Yeah, I'm with Simon now. Chris is around somewhere. I think he's dashed off quickly. He's been ushered to come into the garage. That was a tricky race, right down to the wire.
Well, yeah, it was right down to the wire. I mean, I don't know what they got the penalty for, so I'm sure we'll find out. It was a chat limits, yeah. I mean, okay, yeah, well, fine. I mean, yeah, like Ted was rapid, and you know we didn't have the pace on him unless we were in the tow. So he was trying to stay in the tow with him. Yeah, and we were just trying to run our race, and then the back markers weren't helpful to us today, and I've made the little mistake going down the inside, haven't down changed, taken the splitter off after I've been moaning at Riley all day, don't take the splitter off. So he's not happy with me. But yeah, we do what we do, don't we?
And Chris, we've not spoken to you all day, so it's great to speak to you. I'm always a bit worried in case my little curse happens if I talk to someone, it goes wrong.
It's not you, it's Andy.
Yeah, all right, we'll blame Andy on this one. Brands, it's going to be a short one, as a short circuit as we know. Potentially, with numbers going, they are going to be starting on the M25.
Yep.
How are we feeling towards going forward to that?
I think the 1 hour race here, starting in the back, coming second, gives us a lot of confidence. Vlad and Teddy have got a rocket ship there now. I know they've had problems with their engines, but that engine in there, we could not stay with them down the straights, particularly when they had a tow. We had a tow from them, but they were just pulling away. It's a absolute rocket ship. But, you know, all credit to them. I don't know why. I think it's track limits. That's what I've just heard in one ear. But yeah, bring on Brands. It's going to be tough. It's going to be difficult. But every race in Fun Cup is.
As they always are. Right, go and talk to Circuit Comms before you run off. Bye. That was Christopher and Simon Rudd, your winners of round 6 of the 2026 Fun Cup Endurance Championship here at Donington Park. Now, I've been Jamie Peters-Ennis, and I'll be back on the 15th of August at Brands Hatch for a traditional 4-hour race, but I like John's suggestion of a 1 hour, a 3 hour and a 1 hour afterwards. I think, Andy, he'll probably be trying to break us, but for now, I'll throw it back to you guys to go through the highlights.
I think maybe 3 1-hour races is the way forward. Let's get rid of the endurance from the name. Let's have a Fun Cup Sprint Championship. Mind you, 3 hours was plenty entertaining enough, although I am rather worn out by the end of it. Right, it's been a brilliant day of racing. John Ratcliffe will be back tomorrow, as will I. Before we go, though, let's take a look back, shall we? Just some of the highlights from the last 3 hours. The race started what feels like an age ago with the 171 car on pole position. They did not lead into the first corner though. It was the 169 Rob Boston Racing with Rare Vinyl machine, which started from the outside of row 1 and grabbed the early advantage. It was another clean start, thankfully, despite 26 cars barrelling off into Redgate corner together. They all managed to keep it clean for the first corner, with a couple of those from the back already making good progress. One who was really making good progress was Abby Eaton in the Clapham North car, having started 10th on the grid. She was 3rd by the end of the opening lap and took advantage of this kerfuffle at the chicane to move into 2nd position at the beginning of lap number 2. Didn't take her long before she was in the lead of the race, but she was far from the only driver to lead laps in what was a typically competitive encounter. Demon Tweaks had problems, shall we say, down the Craner curves, as at McLean's did the Sunoco machine, which found itself out onto the gravel trap at the first of the right-handers. Then, big drama at the chicane. The Red River Sport car lost it coming into the chicane, hit the tyre stack, and one of the Demon Tweaks cars had nowhere to go. A glancing blow for Demon Tweaks, but a lot of damage done to the Red River Sport car. They weren't the only ones to go through the gravel trap, though. The Northern Velocity car did a bit of damage to its front splitter here, but then things got even worse. Only half a lap later, they bounced through the gravel trap at the old hairpin, and that destroyed the front and did a lot of damage to the rear of that car. Uvio were charging through. They'd picked up a little bit of splitter damage, though, in the first stint of the race. They tried to run with it for the first 2/3 of the 3 hours, but it got worse and worse and worse. They were gaining ground here, but as the splitter started to become more and more damaged, they started to lose pace. 169 were a factor all day and would end up on the podium at the end of the 3 hours. They were part of a thrilling 5-way battle for the lead in stint number 2. Uvio, GRD and Vape Club, 3 of the expected championship front runners, battling with the pair of Rob Boston Racing cars. The 169 car having a much better day, though, than the 252, which would once again run into issues a little bit later in the race. 169 managed to get to the front of the field just before the pit stops. The Rob Boston cars were running 2nd and 3rd at this point, and not really working together all that effectively, it has to be said. That group of 3 had caught and passed Uvio and Vape Club, though, and then started to get away from them ever so slightly. There were multiple changes of lead in this portion of the race. In fact, there were multiple changes of lead throughout the course of the 3 hours. Vape Club and Uvio then did their fair share of trading positions as we moved into the halfway point of the race. There were, in fact, 18 lead changes over the course of the race. I'll have to refer to the spreadsheet to see if that's a Donington Park record. I suspect it probably is. It wasn't just the lead that was changing, though. We had Greenheath and Demon Tweaks trading positions. This was a bit further down inside the top 10, heading towards the halfway point of the race. And then they encountered the 171 car, which was stopped at the side of the road down the exhibition straight with mechanical issues. A day full of problems for the 171, and that would bring about a safety car period with that car stuck in a dangerous position and needing to be recovered. Thankfully, we didn't need a safety car for Tropical Rocket Racing. They'd already had issues earlier on in the race, and then secondary mechanical problems took them out up at Redgate Corner. Then Vape Club and GRD started debating the race lead. The second half of the race was a very tactical affair with different fuel strategies. GRD had double fueled at the third pit stop of the race, and that meant that they were good to go to the end without requiring any other fuel. They then looked into a safety car, and that meant that they regained all of the time they'd lost in the pit lane. It was then down to Vape Club to try and drag themselves back into contention, knowing they would have longer pit stops until the end. And Ted Bradbury was absolutely up for the challenge. Meanwhile, Jack Harding and Abby Eaton were at battle, two drivers who had done battle in MX-5s back in the day. The Rob Boston racing car was also a part of that squabble as we move towards the final hour of the 3-hour 6th round of the Fun Cup Endurance Championship. The Renault racing car skated straight on at the chicane. For a couple of laps, it looked as though maybe there was fluid on the track down at the chicane as a number of cars were skating straight on, seemingly struggling to get the cars stopped into that always treacherous final couple of corners, and a few of them really did trip over each other. Ted Bradbury, meanwhile, was absolutely charging. He had caught the GRD car and was able to get through on the inside line into Redgate Corner. Not there, but a bit later on in the race to get the lead away. He then had to debate with Simon Rudd and then Riley Phillips in the final stint, both of whom put up a real challenge to the Vape Club car. Heading towards the final round of pit stops, it was all about who was going to spend the longest in the pit lane. There was also a battle going on between GCI and Greenheath. They were fighting for 4th position, but being caught rapidly all the time by Uvio, who were able to take advantage of this mess that was going on. GCI and Greenheath right in the middle of it to take a chunk of time out of those two and get themselves back into contention for a top 5 finish. Uvio were looming large behind this group. C Data were battling with the 252 car at this point for position and managed to slip through on the inside into Redgate Corner. Uvio then also started to pick up some positions and were able to get ahead of both Greenheath and GCI, only to then mess it all up at the chicane. They and GCI both ended up shortcutting the chicane, with GCI getting the worst of that, traipsing through the gravel and damaging the left front corner of the splitter. Then more calamity at the chicane. Red River Sport once again in the wars, this time tangling with the 158 car. Miraculously, both cars got going without the need for a safety car, and the race could continue. Not great news, though, for GRD was this grassy and gravelly moment down at the old hairpin that broke the front splitter. They lost so much pace as a result, and by the time the final round of pit stops had been served, the Vape Club car came out with a 5-second lead, with Vlad Vasiliev at the wheel and Riley Phillips chasing them down in the championship leading number 1 car. Riley was giving it everything he had, even going onto the grass coming out of Coppice Corner. It didn't look like he was going to catch Vape Club until they came in to serve a stop-go penalty. We're awaiting confirmation. We suspect it was because of exceeding track limits, and unfortunately that took them out of the lead and out of contention for a race victory. In the end, that victory went the way of GRD, claiming the lead with only a matter of 4 or 5 minutes to go. The 18th lead change of the race. It is a Donington Park record, and it's another victory for GRD, who extend their championship lead. So a fantastic day here at Donington Park. Myself, John, Jamie, we've all thoroughly enjoyed ourselves, and we get to do it all over again tomorrow. Tune in tomorrow morning for day 2 of action here at Donington Park. For now, though, from us and everyone else here at Alpha Live and the Brscc, thank you for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.